Okay, let's do this. This is super exciting. So, welcome everyone to our Together We Give, a pop-up giving circle experience at We Give Summit. We are so happy you are here with us tonight. We're so excited to be hosting this session at We Give Summit in partnership with Giving Tuesday. Thank you, Asha, for joining us tonight. We're going to be hearing from an amazing speaker a little bit later on. I'm not going to say anything else, but we're going to get started. So, Philanthropy Together is a global initiative that started last year. Our mission is to diversify and democratize philanthropy through the power of giving circles. We want to start more giving circles and helping the existing ones thrive. Hi, Asha. Good to see you.
Hi, so happy to be here. And I'm so happy to be co-hosting this with you. So Philanthropy Together is like the cool, hip, young kid in the room now. And Giving Tuesday is like the old dinosaur. We're almost in our 10th year. And I remember when we were as young as you guys were. Anyway, we're very thrilled to be co-hosting this Giving Circle with Philanthropy Together and really feel like our missions are just so aligned. Giving Tuesday is a global generosity movement that started as a day to give following Black Friday and Cyber Monday, but is now in organizations and individuals and families and communities in every corner of the globe. And like Philanthropy Together, we believe in the power of each and every person to take philanthropy into their own hands and in whatever way, large or small, monetary or not, make a positive impact in their communities. And I'm gonna pretend that it's all because of Giving Tuesday that this is that We Summit was kicking off on a Tuesday, and really thrilled to be here to showcase generosity and specifically to come together to support organizations advocating for systemic change to end hate. Couldn't be more relevant right now and really matters for the whole future that we will all embark upon together. So later on in this session, I'm really thrilled that we're going to be joined by this evening's keynote speaker, Margaret Huang, who is president and CEO of the Southern Poverty Law Center, and she's going to tell us a lot more about the realities of hate.
Thank you, Asha. So to move us from learning to action in just 75 minutes, here's how we're going to spend the rest of our time together. So first of all, we're going to build community, right? There's no giving circle without community. Then we're going to be sharing our values. We're going to learn about issues that we care about and dig into two amazing grassroots nonprofits. And then collectively, we will give a combined donation. So get your credit card ready, people. We're all here to have impact in 75 minutes. And then we're going to celebrate and learn how we can engage more. Since we are, a pretty significant group, we wanted to share a few gentle reminders for how to engage today. So the first one is take space, make space. We will be going into breakout rooms and have a few opportunities to engage. So please engage with us. Dig deep. Giving is a very personal choice. This is a safe community, and we want you to dig deep into your values and your beliefs around giving. Bring the joy. The issues facing our communities are serious and painful and heartbreaking. But that doesn't mean that making change together can be a joyful experience. We started with music, we started with joy, we started with laughter, and we want to end like that by giving a significant gift to one of our nonprofits. And that is, our last one, be generous. Giving circles multiply the impact by the power of the group. So we invite you to give a personally significant gift throughout this experience. So before we go any further, we like to express our belief that you are a philanthropist. By joining in today's Giving Circle, learning about the issues, digging in deep with organizations, you are a philanthropist. We believe everyone can and should be a philanthropist. The landscape of philanthropy is shifting, right? I think we have seen that, in the past few years, but especially, last year. Giving circles will continue to play a transformational role in bringing in many more and more diverse voices into philanthropy. Next slide, please. I want to start with a definition of what is a giving circle, because maybe some of you, this is the very first time that you are hearing about the giving circle. So I always like to start with this definition from our friends at Amplifier. A giving circle takes your mind, your talents, and financial abilities seriously and makes giving a collaborative social experience. They create caring, generous communities of people who act intentionally, thoughtfully, and strategically together. I mean, just listen, that's beautiful. So first of all, we're going to start, as we said, there are 5 things that need to happen to have a giving circle. The first of all is to have a community. To have a giving circle, you need people. A group with shared values gathers and builds community. Then they discuss a common vision and they engage in discourse and learning, right? This is the meaty part of a giving circle, you know, to be vulnerable, to learn from each other, to learn from the causes that you care about. The third one is the group decides together where to give their money, their time, their talent, their testimony. They pool their funds, also their time and more, and they give together. And then the last one, and the most important one of all, is engage beyond the gift to amplify the impact. So is everybody ready? This is the time for a pop-up giving circle. So we're going to send you into breakouts with a few other participants. Please share your name with them, where you're from, why you're here, and why you give. And we'll see you back in the main room in about 6 minutes. So, Isis, can you send us to the breakout rooms? Thank you.
So I just got kicked out of the room. Is that what happened? Or
yeah, we just finished up. Sara, you're on mute. I need my you're on mute sticker.
You need your, yeah. Sorry, I am here. I'm back here. Okay, so I hope you made good, new friends in the breakout rooms. And now we're going to be discussing, we're going to talk about the vision and the values that motivate the groups. You were discussing why you give. So there are so many powerful values that we hold personally and in our giving. They come from how we were raised, the influences that we had in our lives, and our life experiences. Values are what you stand for and what you won't stand for. And values don't come out of nowhere. They are shaped over the course of your life. As we said, the people and influences that you grew up with, your culture, your religion. So you can view values from so many different lenses. You may hold values like this, right? Equity, community, empathy, trust, leadership. Personal values and the values that guide your giving likely intersect a lot. For example, if justice is a core value of yours, it will likely define a lot of your giving value and potential focus as a giving circle member, right? On the other hand, your personal values don't always have to align with your giving values, right? For example, tradition. You may value tradition in your personal life, but you may want to be part or start a really progressive and non-traditional giving circle. So what are our shared values as a group tonight? Someone from my team is putting a link in the chat right now to a Mentimeter. So click please the link. You're going to enter a personal, and click the link, and you're going to enter a personal value or 3 that guides your life and giving. So we're going to see live how are those values popping up. Okay, we see equity, empathy, fun. Is everyone able to get into the Mentimeter? Okay, this is amazing. Equity, big time. Community. I'm going to just share something really, for me, it's amazing. We have done so many pop-up giving circles in the past year, and it doesn't matter the group, it doesn't matter the size of the group, the issue area that the group cares about. Every time when we're talking about values, equity and community, compassion is new this time, but equity and community are always on the top 3. So thank you. I think we got our values. Has everybody been able to vote to get your value in? Perfect. So our group values are equity, compassion, and community. And now I'm going to pass it to Asha.
That's amazing. That's so beautiful to see. And it's also true of Giving Tuesday that the 2 keywords that are most often associated with talk of Giving Tuesday on social media are community and justice. So we see that all of these values are so deeply linked. So we're here to talk about alleviation of hatred. And so we're to learn a lot more about the realities of hate and extremism, and you will have an opportunity to ask questions. So our keynote this evening is Margaret Huang, who is president and CEO of the Southern Poverty Law Center. And throughout her 25-year career, Margaret has championed social justice and human dignity. She's advocated against discrimination and oppression in all of its forms. Prior to SPLC, she served as the executive director of Amnesty International USA, where she was responsible for leading campaigns to protect the human rights of migrants and refugees, torture survivors, gun violence victims, and activists and protesters across the globe. And we're really so delighted to have her on this Giving Circle. Welcome, Margaret.
Thank you so much, Asha. It's such a pleasure to join all of you today. I've felt very motivated and excited by the conversation to date. So it's great to be here. I'm going to try to summarize very quickly a lot of information. And so you'll forgive me if I speak too fast or if I throw out things that you want to dig deeper on. Hopefully, if we have questions and answers, we can get to those. The Southern Poverty Law Center has been tracking and reporting on hate and extremist groups for more than 30 years. We started this work actually in the late 1980s in support of litigation we were pursuing against the Ku Klux Klan. Today, we track several different hate ideologies, including neo-Nazi groups, anti-LGBTQ groups, and anti-immigrant hate groups. Each year, we publish our Year in Hate and Extremist report, which includes a census of hate groups and anti-government groups across the country. And as you can see in the slide posted here, we tracked 838 active hate and extremist groups across the country in 2020. The anti-immigrant hate groups are the most extreme of the hundreds of nativist and vigilante groups that have proliferated since the 1990s. Since that time, anti-immigrant xenophobia has grown, rising to levels that we haven't seen in the United States since the 1920s. 4 years ago, Trump kicked off his campaign for the presidency with a speech describing Mexican immigrants as killers, rapists, and drug dealers. That speech launched a campaign that focused particularly on an anti-immigrant platform, while also retweeting racist posts from known white nationalist commentators. Trump's campaign rhetoric has been widely perceived as encouraging hate amongst his supporters. For example, a study by political scientists at the University of North Texas and Texas A&M University found that counties that hosted Trump rallies in 2016 saw a 226% rise in reported hate crimes over counties that didn't host such events. Before the Trump era, far-right public rallies were actually pretty infrequent. Members of the radical right favored suit and tie conferences and used the internet to spread their message. The rise of Trump, who parroted the same divisive rhetoric of the far right, significantly transformed the political landscape and brought known white nationalists and other right-wing advocates into the White House itself. In fact, the anti-immigrant sentiment and number of anti-immigrant hate groups has grown over the last 4 years. And this is clearly the result of unprecedented policy changes adopted by the Trump administration, led by people such as Stephen Miller and Mark Morgan in the areas of immigration and also COVID response. The Migration Policy Institute published a report recognizing that there have been more than 400 policy changes in the immigration field over the last 4 years. Early on, the administration focused on curbing unlawful immigration by building a wall, by turning away asylum seekers, and by detaining and deporting thousands of people. But in 2020, following the onset of the coronavirus pandemic, the administration shifted its focus to stopping legal immigration, using health and economic fears to alter the nation's immigration system. The cumulative effect of Trump's executive orders was a de facto moratorium on all immigration to the United States. Over the past 4 years, the Trump administration has imposed draconian immigration policies to demonize immigrant communities in pursuit of a nativist agenda. Fortunately, most of his policy victories are going to be impermanent because many of his changes were made through executive orders. But the sentiment that drove those changes, the anti-immigrant agenda, is still alive and well. And we see that in the ongoing efforts of hate and extremist groups to blame immigrants and increasingly the AAPI community for their problems and fears. The Trump administration fed this growing hate and discrimination through the language and rhetoric that they adopted in discussing the COVID pandemic. References to the China virus and to the Kung flu have been echoed by many of the individuals who've acted out on this hate. I am really proud of my colleagues at Stop AAPI Hate, who recognized that the federal and state governments were not collecting data about hate crimes against the Asian American Pacific Islander community. So they went out and did it themselves. On Tuesday, March 16th, Stop AAPI Hate released a report documenting nearly 4,000 incidences of hate directed against members of the AAPI community. Just the last year. Of these incidences, more than 11% were violent physical assaults. And women reported hate incidents at a rate of almost nearly 2.5 times more than men. While many of these instances collected might not rise to the level of a hate crime, they do reflect a growing use of hateful rhetoric, of harassment and threats being directed against the community. This report on March 16th received a lot of keen attention from media outlets and government officials. And then that evening in Atlanta, Georgia, a shooter went to 3 Asian-owned businesses and killed 8 people, 6 of them Asian American women. The organizations who are featured tonight are doing the hard work of standing up for immigrant and AAPI communities and ensuring that they are visible. They're working to protect the rights and livelihoods of immigrant and AAPI communities, and they're doing the hard work of fighting hate and violence in these communities. I'm so pleased that we are lifting up their work. They are so very deserving of our support. Thank you for having me this evening.
Thank you so much, Margaret, but we have time for questions, which is amazing. So let's get some questions. You can all unmute yourself and ask your question, or if you prefer, you can put it in the chat. I know it's always hard to be the first one to ask the first question.
It's Paula. Margaret, I know that a lot of these groups have incredibly innocent sounding names, like the one that pretends in Florida that pretends to be professional pediatricians. What's the strategy for bringing light to the fact that that's not who they are? It only takes about 90 seconds on their website to figure it out, but it's hard for people like Fidelity and Schwab to sort through that. And so I think they end up without meaning to funding some hate groups.
It's such a good question, Paula. And the reality is it is hard to find out unless you're willing to do a deep dive on the web or other places to find information about individual groups. So one reference tool that we have and we offer is the hate map. If you go on to the SPLC website, which is splcenter.org, you can actually find a listing of all the groups that we've designated as hate groups. I'm pleased to tell you that a number of partners have now embraced using our hate database as a way to review potential grantees. So for example, Amazon Smiles uses our list and they don't make grants from the Amazon Smiles program to people who are listed on our database. We are talking with other potential partners as well, but it's something that it requires a lot of work to dig into these groups. And there are many that I'm sure we're not catching. So it is something that is important for us to be paying close attention to and really understanding who it is that may be recipients of our gifts.
We're going to be doing a blog post to recommend throughout our network of 80 organizations that they use the hate map as a final screen before they make a grant.
Yeah, that's great.
Doesn't take, it's by state, it doesn't take long.
I saw somebody asked about what the definition of a hate group is. I can tell you what we use. We define a hate group as an organization or a group of individuals who malign or vilify an entire category of people based on their immutable characteristics. Things like identity, race identity, religious identity, gender identity, sexual orientation. And we determine that by seeing whether they're active. In other words, whether they're regularly posting statements or reports or other documentation that embrace that ideology. It might also be the leaders of that organization who regularly speak out and talk about their hateful ideology. So that's our definition. It actually aligns pretty closely with the FBI's definition of hate groups. So we try to take that into consideration as well.
There is another question from Sara. What are promising strategies to address these groups?
So important right now. So there are a number of efforts underway by the Biden administration. When President Biden took office, he immediately announced that the White House would be looking at all federal agencies and reviewing what their current strategies are to combat white nationalism and extremism. And they're going to be putting out a host of recommendations to be implemented across the administration. That's underway. The other big thing that happened was the Department of Defense issued a stand down order for 60 days, and they're actually reviewing all of the different military branches to see how big the problem is and what they could be doing internally. From our perspective, what I think is really important is, particularly at the community level, we want to let our local and state elected officials know that this is important for them to be paying attention to. Many of you would have seen a lot of the activism last year by folks who were fighting the precautions around COVID and later who were fighting the results of the election. And they actually targeted state legislators, city council members. So it's really important that we all reach out to our local elected officials and work with them to lift up these problems and to support them when they're trying to take positions to actually keep our communities safe.
I have a question, and thank you. What can we learn about the engagement method they used?
The hate groups using?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're being very sophisticated, to be honest. They're globalizing. They're working with hate and extremist groups all around the world, not just here in the United States. They're using technology. They're actually frequently the early adapters of different technology. And while they used a lot of mainstream websites, for example, to organize the January 6th insurrection, a lot of that was organized on Twitter and Facebook. Since January 6th, we've seen a number of those groups actually move off the mainstream media platforms, and they're now moving into private and encrypted chat rooms. So it's going to make it actually a little more difficult for us to monitor and track them. On the other hand, they're going to have less opportunity to recruit new members of the groups because they're not going to be as available on mainstream platforms. So, but they're very sophisticated. They're raising a lot of money using cryptocurrency strategies. And it is quite a lot to learn from them, as you pointed out, Maggie, in terms of what we can do to counter them.
One more question. We have time for one more question. Anyone?
A question. Hi, everybody. I'm sorry if I missed something, but are we looking at groups now to choose within this time period so that we can, so we can give. So I understand they're hate groups, but I'm not seeing the groups.
Alexa, no,
So
we have.
I know we had a preamble of why we're choosing this and Trump and what people do and shouldn't do, but who are we looking at and where are they in the world and all that?
We have not started yet with that. That is our next part. And if there is not another question, I'm going to pass it to Asha, just to say bye to Margaret. Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you, Margaret. Thank you so much for placing us in that context and sharing that perspective as dark and worrisome as it is. Now that we sort of have that grounding and we've talked about our values and we're grounded in the significance and the timeliness of this issue, we are going to look at the two amazing organizations who are on the ground, who are really pushing on this work. Before we do that, I'm just going to toss it back to Sara real quick to just talk about some of the principles we keep in mind when we're engaging in philanthropy.
Thank you, Asha. And you know what, before we go, because I know we still have 1 minute, I want to ask Margaret if she can address this question that Shanna just put on the chat that says, how do you all stay positive while researching hate? I think that, we would love to hear that.
Thank you for that question, Shanna, and for asking Sara. I'm the fortunate one because I am not spending my time monitoring chat rooms and reading all of the hate day to day. That credit goes to my colleagues in our intelligence project unit who are really struggling day to day, and they are extraordinary staff. But I can tell you that the reason I stay positive is because I see opportunities to make change. If I thought we were stuck in this world forever, then perhaps I might feel differently. But I think initiatives like this Giving Circle are what give me hope. There are a lot of people out there who care about the things I care about, who want to step up and support community organizations doing hard work. And that reassures me that we are going in the right direction and have a real chance at success. So thank you all for being here tonight. It's incredibly important, and I'm really grateful.
Thank you, Margaret. Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some principles of powerful philanthropy. There are over 1.5 million nonprofits just in the US, and so many of them are worthy of your dollars, right? So here are 4 things to look at when you're evaluating organizations. First of all, evaluate the strong leadership on staff and board that really mirrors the community, right? How many times we see organizations that are working in the Latinx community that don't have a single Latino or Latina on their board or their leadership staff. It's really important to trust the leadership of the organization, to do a push for equity, to really, you know, try for that organization that you are going to support, that it's really mirroring the community that they serve, that the leadership mirrors the community that they serve. Of course, powerful programs connected to their mission. So focus on organizations that align with your values and the issue that you care about. A close connection with and record of impact for the community that they serve. Why? Because you want to build deep relationships with organizations so you can see this firsthand. That doesn't mean that, you know, they have to be in your backyard, right? But just really try to create that deep relationship with the leadership of the organization. Take your time to do the homework, take your time to do some research. If you can, because it's a local organization, go and visit them. And then, of course, transparent and clear financials, right? It's very important that when you are part of a giving circle, to make grants that are relative to the budget size of the organization. So, or the other way around, right? If you are going to, if in your giving circle, you are going to be able to raise certain amounts, let's say, you know, in your giving circle, you are going to raise $5,000. So try to find a small organization that has a small budget, so your donation has really impact. We know that there are many amazing organizations that are huge, that are the ones that, you know, everybody funds, because those are like the names that everybody knows. But those small grassroots organizations doing amazing work in communities, they rarely get the funding. Why? Because they're too small. They're too small. And, you know, the executive director has many hats, and they don't have, you know, a beautiful website with all the bells and whistles, and may not have, you know, a person dedicated to social media. That doesn't mean that that organization is not doing a good job. So, you know, take the time to look at the organization, to really learn from them, and, you know, to be also mindful when you're making a grant or a donation to a nonprofit, that you pick those organizations that are usually, you know, invisible for big philanthropy. So for a pop-up giving circle tonight, our criteria is, we're going to focus on BIPOC-led 501c3 nonprofit organizations. That's the first one. Why 501c3 organizations? Because we're going to be using Grapevine, which is a great platform for to support giving circles. And so, you know, we want to, they work with 501c3 organizations. They're connected to Candid, a big database of nonprofits. So we're going to do that. But that doesn't mean that giving circles cannot do otherwise, right? There are giving circles that give to initiatives, to individuals, to campaigns, to 501c4s, et cetera, et cetera. We are going to think back to our shared values, right? To connect, to think about the programs that are connected to their mission. We are going to dig deep into their work to see how they're impacting the community that they serve. And we are going to be focusing on 2 organizations that have very small budgets. So I'm going to pass it to Asha to start talking about the first org.
Okay, so we're going to start talking about the organizations that we're going to consider today. I know you've all been waiting to get to this part, and I think given the principles that Sara just shared and the values that we talked about earlier, the framing that Margaret gave us, you'll see why we chose these and why we're highlighting these 2 groups. Because they really work and exist within those values, and they do it with such limited resources. They are truly grassroots organizations. They work deeply embedded within communities. They prioritize the needs and the voices of those communities. They prioritize being inclusive and accessible. We are doing a lot of talking in philanthropy right now about the importance of community leadership. What is the latest buzzword is proximate leadership. But the truth is that organizations like these so often do not get the attention they deserve, let alone the resource or the access to the halls of philanthropic power that much, much larger and more well-resourced organizations get more readily. So first, we will look at Siren, which is based in San Jose, California. And the California Central Valley. So here's their mission statement at Siren. We believe that all people, regardless of legal status or nationality, are entitled to essential services, human dignity, basic rights and protections, and access to full participation in society. How sad that we even need an organization that needs to state such an obvious thing. Siren empowers low-income immigrants and refugees through community education and organizing, leadership development, policy advocacy, civic engagement, and legal services. All of their materials are available in multiple languages. And their programs are really on-the-ground services, all under the umbrella of helping to protect and fight for immigrant and refugee rights. So I won't read you every word, but you can see the sort of major verticals of their work. The thing that I really love about their work is obviously all of it, but my attention was really drawn to the middle one, because I feel like organizations or movements or efforts or whatever it may be that really prioritize creating and bringing up new leaders are really thinking about the future of that effort, that those leaders will really carry forward the work and change it and evolve it. And so I really love that that they're doing that, and leading this organization is this executive team, and Maricela Gutierrez as the executive director. You know that one of the principles that we shared is strong leadership and staff and board, but also that mirrors the community. And Sara said this, but it can't be said enough that is so often not the case. And it really, we made sure that it was with the organizations that we chose for tonight's circle, and they have a budget of just over $1.5 million.
Which is a tiny budget for the amount of work that they do. I want to add also that Siren, even though they have their main office in San Jose, they also have an office in the Central Valley in California, to protect farm workers, and they work with a huge amount of farm workers in the Central Valley. And yeah, amazing organization. So next up, okay, I'm seeing a lot of questions here. I love that people are asking questions. First of all, Deborah, how did you select these two? Did you review a number of other organizations and then narrow it down? How many were considered? Thank you, Deborah, for that question. Yes, when we picked the issue area, we made a list of organizations, and we have, I think, about 8 organizations. And we, with the principles that we talked about, the small budgets, the leadership that reflected the community, et cetera, we were narrowing it down. Okay. So next up, we have APCON, based in Los Angeles, and it's the Asian Pacific Policy and Planning Council. It's a coalition of community-based organizations that advocates for the rights and needs of the Asian and Pacific Islander American community in the greater Los Angeles area, with a particular focus on low-income immigrant, refugee, and other disadvantaged sectors of the population. APCON is a space for both older and emerging API community organizations to influence governmental policies and facilitate collaborative work among the agencies. We have seen, especially as Margaret said, last year, we have seen a horrible increase on hate crimes towards the Asian Pacific community. Through Upcon initiative, there is this big campaign that maybe a lot of you have seen on your social media, that it's Stop API Hate. They have successfully created a number of youth programs. These programs educate young AAPI students on the importance of speaking out and advocating for their community, as well as encouraging Asian Americans to tell their stories and fight for equality and justice. I don't know if any of you have seen the messages on social media, but they are very, very, very active. They provide resources around stopping and combating AAPI hate. Their leadership is completely, reflective of their community. Manju, for short, Kulkarni is also the co-founder of Stop AAPI Hate. And the APCON staff, not all of whom are pictured, is majority Asian American and have 50% women. And then last but not least, they have a really tiny budget of $300,000. So as you can see, and I'm going to put side to side this, I know, in one hand we have, you might say like, okay, this is not comparable. One has a budget of 1.5, the other one has a budget of 300,000. It's the different programs that they have, but both of them with very strong, culturally relevant programs to support immigrants and to really attack the problems that the communities are facing in their local areas. These two organizations are a perfect example of organizations that have not skipped a beat, right? In the past 5 years. They're not getting the hundreds of thousands of dollars or the millions of dollars in funding, but those organizations have the big lines outside their doors every single day. And they have to, rise to the challenge. So I'm going to leave this a little bit here for you to just read. Let me look at the chat.
Yeah, and I'll also add, Sara, that what we've observed is also that organizations that are this small were in some ways in a better position during the pandemic, in that they are not top heavy or bureaucratic, and organizations that lack that type of bureaucracy are really able to be much more agile when disasters like this hit, and to be innovative, collaborative, and experimental, and that those are all things that should be rewarded as well.
Totally. And they're, like Giving Circles, like last year, the moment, the pandemic hit, Giving Circles, because there's no bureaucracy, we were able to move money and to liberate capital very quickly. These grassroots nonprofits, they're like this, they're nimble. They cannot wait to, okay, let's see, if a grant comes. So they need the funding and they need it now. I also want to, to raise something that a question that Oth brought up here in the chat. How would you recommend a new Giving Circle go about sourcing grassroots nonprofits? We get this question all the time. Very good question. It's a matter of doing your homework and start being connected, and talk about, talk with different community leaders. Like, just, for this exercise, we call different groups, we call different foundations working with immigrants. It's very good to also, reach out to your community foundation. If you want to support local groups, reach out to community foundation and ask them, like, who are, maybe they're not in their grantee list, but who are those groups that are part of their universe, right? Talk to your neighbors, talk to your leaders in the community, go to the market, ask around, go to the schools, ask around. Okay, I know I need to move. Okay, so now it's time for some, collective decision making. So we are going to send you back into your breakout rooms. This is your time to just comment and, you know, start putting what you think about the two organizations. So we're going to be using a very simple tool called Jamboard. So inside your small groups, talk about your thoughts on each organizations and track your group's thoughts. Then you're going to have people share what they think in each organization, right? So who should receive the donation? Why? You can double click on the little sticky. So you can, Isis is showing us how to do it. So you click, you write, you click save, and then you can move your sticky around. Let us know if you have any questions, but then each group is going to be discussing and put your input into the Jamboard. The Jamboard is one for all of us. And please, you know, think this, there is no right or wrong answer. All organizations, these two organizations are doing fantastic work in the community. Your donation will have an impact on them. When you return, we'll take a poll to vote on which organization will receive our collective gift. Okay, so see you in 6 minutes. So you need to move fast. And remember our values: equity, community, and compassion.
I'm back.
Oh my God, I'm on mute. Sorry, I keep getting muted. Okay, so we're back. I am going to say a couple of things that I said during in one of the breakouts, because I feel that I didn't share this when we were talking about the organization. So we were talking about, you know, the work that these two organizations do, and what most of these grassroots organizations do amazingly well is how to engage volunteers, right? They can move mountains because they can move volunteers. They, you know, they're amazing organizing people. Paula, you asked if LCF has supported any of these organizations. Yes, my Giving Circle has supported Siren for many years because they're, you know, their leadership is Latino, so it's under our criteria. And we most recently we supported APCON in a pop-up Giving Circle. So both of them doing incredible work, organizing young people, getting, you know, the power of storytelling to bring more awareness to the issues. So, okay, what are we seeing here? Asha, help me out. What are we seeing here? I'm going to read some of these stickies. So, do we know enough about the quality of the work that they do? And it just got moved to APCON. Here again, something to really, you know, raise to all of you, right? This is a pop-up Giving Circle, so we're doing everything super constrained. So sometimes we know it's you have to trust too. Like so the back end, the research, the discussion about organizations usually takes you know, a committee several weeks. It takes, you know, a full 2 hours to talk about an organization. So we're doing this kind of express. So we do know from the research that we did that they do really good work in the communities that they're helping. Okay, 15 minutes left. Yes. So they're doing that. I'm going to read some of the stickies. Siren, more direct services aim at more wider audience. Service delivery and advocacy and policy all in one. No immigration reforms are happening and there is such a need for advocacy. Legal work is so complex. This is a lifeline for many people, providing this invaluable. Okay, systemic racism and discrimination too. Okay, APCON, like that they do advocacy, the social media campaign.
Like that they're a coalition. I like that as well. I think this is an interesting question to answer pretty straightforwardly. Is there funding going to pay for social media or to pay for staff or what? I think part of what philanthropy is being challenged to do at the moment is to trust leaders to decide how to deploy funding within their own organizations. So they, trust these leaders to run their organizations. And if some of the money goes to pay for staff, great, people deserve to get paid. And if some of the money goes to social media, great, people need to market and enfranchise new people inside their mission and grow their audience. So I think that kind of trust is really important when giving this kind of gift.
Love it, Asha. That is extremely important. And we're going to have a session next week around trust-based philanthropy that I invite all of you to be part of that, because this is all about that, right? Like trust that the organization is going to make good use of the funds that you are supporting. I can assure you that these small grassroots organizations, they are working. They are not sitting idle. So support them. If, as Asha said, if they need to pay the lights and the rent, you know what? Then liberate capital for them to do that. Also, if they need to pay good salaries for their people, yes, amen. So I hope one of from my team can also chat the link for the Trust-Based Philanthropy Project. Take a look at that, it's amazing. So, okay, to move us along, we are going to be voting. So this is each of you, which organization should receive our poll donation? And the results are coming.
Why she revs the Phoenix?
What?
I don't know what that said, but it was interesting.
Yeah, I didn't hear. Okay, yes, Alexa, great. Yes, circles may also center capacity building. Yes, please always give general operating funding.
Can folks see the poll on the screen? I'm not getting any votes in. Do folks see the poll?
We're seeing it, Isis. I am seeing the poll. Can people see it?
I voted.
That's so weird. It says 0 people have voted. Okay, can you, I'll give you another 20 seconds to vote and then we'll close the poll.
Okay, so far we have 16 votes for APCON, 11 for Siren. If anyone has not voted, anyone having trouble with the votes? Okay, 17 APCON, 11 Siren.
There's only 39 people, so that's 37. No, that's 27.
Okay.
That's 20. No, it's 27. You're missing a bunch
so
of
it's
people.
28. Yeah, but we have a bunch of people here in the background, Paula.
Okay.
all of our team are not voting. Okay, so we have our organization that is going to receive our pooled donation is going to be APCON with 17 votes. Yay! Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for voting. So now it's time to give. So I hope no one runs out of the Zoom. So we're going to see a chat now, and we're all going to go to Grapevine. You are going to get into our pop-up giving circle, and here, this is your opportunity to support this tiny, tiny, tiny organization that is doing amazing work in sharing those stories of the Asian American community so everybody can be more aware. You can see that there is no, it's not something that is foreign, it's happening everywhere, and it's heartbreaking and it's infuriating, and we all need to do something to stop it. So I see a question here. Do you ever split between the two organizations? Yes, Cindy. Usually, you know, when you have a regular giving circle, and the moment you get to just 2 or 3 finalists, you always end up giving to everyone. Here, the good thing that I'm going to say is that these 2 organizations, they don't know that we're doing this. So whoever gets, you know, in this case, APCON, that we will get the donation, it will be a surprise. So we are being secret philanthropists, so they will get this donation as a surprise. We were not extractive. We didn't ask them for anything, any of their time. Also, you know, big fan of not being extractive when you are giving a donation.
Something's going wrong, and no one can donate right now, and I don't know why.
So you have to join first.
Yeah, we need to
Click join the Giving Circle.
I don't think so, because I'm on the back end and I also can't do it. I'm in the Giving Circle. I'm running the Giving Circle.
I'm doing it right now.
Are you able to donate, Paula?
The other thing is maybe try it on Google Chrome is where I'm having success.
This is Google Chrome.
No,
anyone else?
Problem.
Oh, this is so anticlimactic.
No. We'll do it.
No, some people are doing it. Okay.
I was able to donate.
Okay, let's just try again. So you can either put any amount that you want. I still can't do it. That's so weird, Ty, that you can do it.
Oh.
It worked for me too.
All right.
Kyson, can you share your screen? So people can see how much money are we raising. Isis, maybe if you refresh yours, it will let you do it. Okay, people, we have 735, and don't pay attention to that $1,000 goal. That is kind of, it comes with
That's
like that.
amazing.
So
it's gonna make their day.
Yes,
when they see this.
Okay, go.
They're gonna be dancing.
Yes, you may need to create an account, but it's very quick. You can do it very quickly with like either with Facebook or with Google or something.
And you don't have to give Grapevine a tip. You can click the no tip button. So the money only goes to the organization.
Colleen, I'm so sad you cannot donate. Thank you for your donation of $250. We'll figure out how to do it. Don't worry.
Maybe somebody else can donate on your behalf, and then you can Venmo them.
Yeah.
You went over your goal.
Yes. Okay, Colleen, I'm happy to do that. I'm going to see you on Friday, so I'm happy. I'll do your donate. I'll make your donation.
Thank you, Sarah. I set up an account and I put in my credit card, but it says that Grapevine's having an issue, so I will Venmo you.
Okay, that's good. Let me go in the back end. My God,
that's happening with me too. So yeah, I'm trying to make my donation, and it's saying there's some trouble with.
So sorry, everybody. It's the
no, I want to do it. So I'll just send it to you.
Can you refresh, Kyson? Keep refreshing.
Okay. Yes, just let me know. Whoever wants to donate, let me know how much you want to donate, and I'll make the donation. Credit card.
And it's 5:14, Sara, if you want to. It's already 5. Yeah. It's 5:14.
Oh my God. I'm going.
Every time you refresh, it gets bigger. So I would just keep going.
If only that's how life worked, right? Just
Right.
refreshing to make more money.
Yes, folks,
It finally worked for me.
I was gonna say, maybe there were too many people doing it at one time that it just needed time.
Who was that?
Oh my God.
Alexa.
Amazing.
It worked. Yay.
Who was that? Colleen?
No, I still haven't gotten it to work, Sarah. This is
Okay,
Colleen.
so I'm doing the second one, but it's not working for some reason. So let me see.
Oh my God. I feel like we can get to 2,000. Ask your friends,
Yes,
everybody.
me too.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. And thank you folks for being, patient. I know we're going to run 5 minutes more. Don't leave. This is very exciting. Hold on. Okay, let's see. Okay, can you refresh one again, Isis or Kyson?
Kyson.
Okay, we need to get to 2,000 people.
Be happy to, I just can't get it through. I've tried 5 times.
You can count time of 15 for me as well. Just
Yeah, I was gonna give 250, so you're over.
Amazing.
Okay, perfect. Paula, I'll do it and then we'll talk.
Yeah.
Who else wanted to donate? If anybody wants to donate, just put it on the chat and we'll do it. Okay, so we're going to finish this. We're going to end this. I am so incredibly grateful for all of you. So before we end, don't leave. Let's take a big picture of all of us before we do anything else, because well, now let's do this part. Okay. The most important part of a giving circle is to engage beyond your gift, right? With your membership, with the organizations for amplified impact. How can you do that? What is something that we can do, to see this point of giving to the 2 organizations? So please go tonight and follow the organization's social media channel. Sign up for their newsletter. We're going to send out the links in the chat. Advocate and keep engaging with anti-hate work. Volunteer. And last but not least, of course, start or join a giving circle. Those of you that are new to this work, join a giving circle. And if you are not a member of a giving circle yet, join Launchpad, our giving circle incubator. We're going to also drop a link for that. We're going to be running a cohort in the summer. We would love to see you there. We promise a lot of music, a lot of laughter, a lot of learnings. And Asha, any parting words?
This was just so much fun, and I hope everybody just imagines the expression on the face of whoever it is that gets the news that this donation is coming their way, and the expression on the faces of all the people who will benefit from this donation.
Thank you, Asha. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, everyone. And let's take a big picture so we can send it to AppCon with the donation, right? Okay, so everybody turn on your cameras, put a happy face, and let's say thank you to AppCon for the amazing work that they're doing. Okay, who's taking the picture? Kyson, right? Who's taking the picture? I don't know who's taking the picture. Okay, 1, 2. Thank you, everyone, for your generosity. And we'll see you tomorrow for the amazing sessions that we have planned. Keep engaging with us at We Give Summit. And for those of you that couldn't give a donation, if you can stay a little bit, we'll make the donations on your under your name, and we will share with everyone how much the big donation was at the end. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.